Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here. Once again, we are working on a Vincent Price themed cluster reviews. But as you know, Safi takes like 10 years to write reviews and do them, so in the meantime, I think that you guys deserve content. I mean, I wish I could be doing videos every day, but unfortunately with someone like Safi being the co-host, it's kind of impossible. So, or else it's going to turn into Marco dishes out on movies while Safi fucks around in the background. So, anyways, I watched another 5 movies last week. It kind of started off terrible, and then it got better as it went along, and it ended on a positive-ish note. So I'm going to be reviewing these movies from least enjoyed to most enjoyed, and I don't think I'm going to give food ratings for them because I think that all of them might have their own reviews, maybe. So I'm not going to do that. I think that it's kind of cheap to do that, and it's kind of like, these movies deserve more. I could do separate reviews and give them proper food ratings, because I don't want to rush that. I do have a couple of food ratings that I already know. So yeah, the first movie that I watched was Grizzly Man. I actually started watching this like on Sunday night / Monday morning, and so I was already like on a bad note, not getting much sleep, starting to watch this movie, Grizzly Man, and I thought, I was under the impression that it would be like an adventure movie, like The Bear. I was kind of in the mood to watch that type of movie, and I kind of wanted to watch all of Werner Herzog's movies, and I saw that he had all of his movies basically on Amazon Prime, and so I was like, yeah, I'll watch these movies, and that'll be like most of the movies I watched this week. But as it happened, this movie was actually a documentary, and I did not want to watch a documentary, but I just watched it anyway because I thought maybe it'll be good. This movie is the worst. It's worse than Book of Blood, if you can believe that. It's worse than everything I've seen this year. It is so dark and depressing and ugly and evil and just, oh God. This movie, I wouldn't recommend watching this to anyone. I mean, this movie, number one, the main character, he's a very tragic character. It's awful. It's terrible, and it really put me in a bad mood for like days. And like, that's not why I want to watch movies. And so yeah, this ugh. And then also, when you watch a movie called Grizzly Man, you kind of expect that you'll see a bear attack or you'll see a bear kill. And what they did was they did not play the recording. There was a recording of the main character and his girlfriend getting killed by a bear, and they did not play it, quote unquote, out of respect to the families and all that crap. But what's funny is that, yeah, okay, you don't play that tape, but then you go into basically, I would say like 60% of the film describing in grisly detail, like it's a crime show, like it's one of those, what's the word I'm thinking of, inflammatory, like it's one of those inflammatory, fear-mongering crime shows, and it's just, they keep going on and on and on about every single little thing, making up theories, all this stuff. And it's like, you thought that this was a better alternative than to just play the tape and get it over with, and that's it? I mean, ugh. And there's another part which is probably the most disturbing part of the whole film. Basically, we learn that the main character is a piece of shit. He's a fraud. He's a failed actor. But he is a tragic figure, and it's not like he's a horrible person, but he kind of is, because there's a part where he sees these rednecks stoning an innocent bear to death, and he just stands there watching this, and just like he doesn't even care. And then, guess what he does? He turns the camera off and leaves. Wow, good job. Yeah, I really care about bears a lot. Yeah. Not really. That really was just ugh. And there's all this horror too. This is a horror movie. It's basically the Blair Witch Project, but real. Because there's like 7 deaths in this movie. There's more deaths in this movie than in Nosferatu, the next movie I'll be talking about. But yeah, I mean, just, oh god, what an ugly movie. And the way that it ends too, basically the message is that like nature is evil, that they like show the face of the bear that killed the main guy, and they just say like, this is the look of nature, and nature is evil. It's just, oh god, I would never watch this movie again. I hope I can forget about this movie. It's just awful. It is awful. In terms of filmmaking, this is not a character that we need to see a documentary about. He loves bears, but then his whole story is basically he's the guy who got killed by a bear and then got his girlfriend killed too, because he wasn't following the park's rules. He would get up really close to the bears. He wouldn't follow the rule to move camp. I mean, he was just, ugh. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Next up, the next movie that I also enjoyed, not at all, was Nosferatu, the Vampire, by Werner Herzog as well. And this movie, my rule is really, like, if I don't enjoy a movie by a filmmaker, then I'm not going to watch more of his movies. But I thought maybe because Grizzly Man is a documentary, then I'll enjoy Nosferatu, which is an actual film. But no. Nosferatu, this movie is another one of those remakes that has a lot of good original ideas, but then it's dragged down by that need to recreate the original. There's a lot of great original ideas though. Like the castle, it doesn't exist in the real world, but then you enter this barrier and it all of a sudden builds up and appears. I thought that was cool. So basically the castle was a ghost castle. I love that idea. And then there's some really good cinematography and lighting where they have had these shots of Nosferatu, or I should say Dracula, and it's just his head and then pitch black darkness, and so it looks like his head is just floating in thin air, and it looks so cool and so gothic, and a lot of the lighting actually reminds me of Apocalypse Now, which I don't like that movie, but I really like the lighting, and so I really like that pitch black surrounding it, just great shots. But yeah, this movie was very disappointing. It was not good at all. It had a horrible ending with basically Jonathan becoming a vampire, and then Lucy, quote unquote, dying. It just I did not like it. It was just stupid. Van Helsing sucked. Renfield was a waste of time. I did like the idea that Nosferatu doesn't even like Renfield, and like it kind of shows the reality of Dracula wouldn't trust someone like Renfield. I mean, if you look up any stories about Vlad the Impaler, there's all these stories of like him killing people for just like minor little things. Like there was one guy who was sitting at the dinner table and there were dead bodies everywhere, and he complained about the smell. And so Vlad had his nose cut off. He had the guy's nose cut off, and he's like, here, does it smell good now? And I think he tortured him to death. And so, yeah, Dracula would not put up with Renfield. That is completely unrealistic. But yeah, it just, and then they had this subplot with like the plague, and it did not work. Jonathan, he was okay. I don't understand why this movie needed to be made. It should have been a completely original take on Dracula. It should not have been, okay, I have some original ideas. I'll combine those with the original movie, and that'll be the movie. It's like a Frankenstein of crap. It is exactly like Child's Play. So if you want to watch two remakes that are horrible but have some good ideas, watch this and then the Child's Play remake. Next up, Mixed Company. This movie is bizarre, but I really like it. I watched it because it has Barbara Harris in it, and I really like her. I watched her in Family Plot earlier this year, and she's well, I'll save my thoughts on her for another video in the future. But I really like her, and so I wanted to watch her movies, and so I watched Mixed Company. It is the weirdest shit I have ever seen. It is like a propaganda film to adopt minority children, because like there's all these minority children that need adopting, and so it's like a propaganda film, but then it has all these racial stereotypes and all this racism in it. And not the fact that like hurts me or offends me, but it's just kind of weird that like the message of the movie is to adopt these kids, but then you make them extremely unlikable, and you also have all this racist stuff in it. It's not really that racist though. It's really weird just why you add those elements together. You either do one or the other. They're either good or bad. They're either, like, I just don't understand what they were thinking. It really is a mixed movie, speaking of Mixed Company. But it is really funny in some aspects, and I would definitely, this is a perfect movie if you want to get a group together of friends to watch like a good, bad movie. Get them together and watch Mixed Company, because it's a really fun, weird movie. And another example of just the problems with the movie, I don't want to sound like a stupid ass SJW, but there is a problem though. There's 3 kids that they adopt. A black one, a Native American one, and a Vietnamese one. And guess which one they focus on through the whole movie? The black one. They completely brush over the problems of the Vietnamese girl. They completely brush over the problems. They don't even give any problems to the Native American kid, basically. And it's just sickening. It's like, oh, so black people have problems, but not the Vietnamese girl, not the Native American kid. It really speaks to the reality of things like right now. Like just choosing to show that, oh, he's the one with issues and we have to focus on him. But then like the Vietnamese girl is having PTSD, and it's like almost like it doesn't even matter because she's Vietnamese and she's not black. And so like that's what this movie, where it gets a little problematic. And not to mention the fact that I don't know how this movie was released. This movie has 3 instances of child nudity. First off, this scene was so disturbing, my jaw dropped and stayed dropped for 20 seconds or more. the black kid is in the bathroom and he does this bad thing, and the dad goes in there and in front of everyone, including the racist neighbor, the dad rips off the black kid's towel and spanks him in front of everyone, and they show his full nudity while he's doing this. It's so weird and gross. And then when they're at this adoption picnic, the Native American boy is getting ready to be adopted, and the dad's like, yo, you don't want to be adopted by me, I spank. And then the kid's like, you can spank me anytime. Oh God, that's weird. Very bizarre. but it's hilarious though. And then there's an instance where the little white girl who's already a natural kid of the main couple who can't have kids anymore. I know that sounds confusing, but I recommend just watching this movie and being weirded out by yourself and not relying on me to tell you all the little details of everything going on. But the little girl, I would say she's like 6, 7, 8. She goes into the bathroom and she wants to see if the black kid is black all over. And so she wants him to strip off his clothes for her so she can see him naked. And then she starts stripping herself. She rips off her own top and you get to see her full chest. And then she starts to rip off her bottom too. I mean, what the hell? And then later on, if that wasn't disturbing enough and weirding you out enough, later on, there's this Vietnamese girl who's like 10 or 11, and she strips off her entire clothes. You get to see everything. You get to see everything. And then it's so weird and uncomfortable. And she runs upstairs and hides in the closet and sits in the closet and she's crying. And we just see this naked girl sitting there crying. It's so weird. I don't even know what to say. I watched a movie with Barbara Harris. And in that same movie, I got to see these 3 kids naked, but I didn't get to see her naked. What the hell is that? What the fuck were they thinking? This movie is PG. You're gonna tell me that the rating system is good? This movie is fucking PG. If you show this to a kid, they're gonna be screwed up. But other than that, it was a very pale story. The main story was very predictable and cliche. The main character, this basketball coach, he was so unlikable and awful. He was a jackass. He constantly yells. He's horrible. I don't like him at all. There was only one good moment in the whole movie that like was good for real. And that's the moment where the coach gives the speech about where he was brought up and what he had to do to get out of there and survive. I really like that. But other than that, this movie deserves to be studied. It deserves to be a party movie forever. And so enough of that. And then my second to last, I watched Observe and Report with Seth Rogen. I didn't watch a Seth Rogen movie on purpose because apparently if you don't agree with his politics, you're not allowed to watch his movies or you don't deserve them. What a jackass. What kind of it just shows how entitled and spoiled and bratty these actors are in Hollywood in 2020. That Seth Rogen would say that about his own fan base. Just sickening from him. So I like this movie. It was a good movie. It wasn't that great. In fact, I watched Mixed Company again over watching this movie again. But it was good for what it was. It was basically like a good version of Paul Blart Mall Cop. And it's all about him. He's a mall cop. And him going through everything that he has to go through, solving cases. And it's pretty funny. It has some good moments, so I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I would put it near his best movies, and yeah. And lastly, since this video is going along, that's why I'm going through it a little more. House of a Thousand Corpses is the movie I enjoyed most. This movie is a horror masterpiece. It is so much fun. It is such a great horror movie. I'm so shocked how good it is, because for years I've stayed away from it because people spread lies about it. They say it's not a movie, it's a music video. They say, like, it's not even a real movie. They say all this dumb shit, and it just shows. Don't listen to other people's reviews. Watch movies for yourself, because they misconstrue things. They say things that come from them. They don't really say the truth about the movie, because this movie was really good. It was basically like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and I really liked it. I loved all the characters. Mostly I loved Captain Spaulding, and I loved Otis. I loved his hair. I thought he was creepy. I thought he was cool. And this movie was so enjoyable. I would love to do a proper review of this movie instead of just a little short review like this. But overall, I would highly recommend it. It is definitely my favorite Rob Zombie movie now. I like it a lot more than Devil's Rejects, 3 from Hell, Halloween 1, Halloween 2. It's just a masterpiece. And it has fun. It doesn't take itself so seriously. It doesn't pressure itself to do groundbreaking things. It just has fun. And that's what good movies are. They're movies that are made with passion and creativity and love, and they don't pressure themselves to be something more. So yeah, that's the 5 movies. I would recommend checking out the Mixed Company, Observe and Report, and House of a Thousand Corpses. And I recommend staying away from Nosferatu and the other one that I don't want to remember. And it's unfortunate because I was considering taking Warner's Masterclass, but I don't think I want to take that anymore. I want to forget about his movies. I want to forget about all of that movie. And so I don't think I'll be taking that. So anyways, if you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel, follow our page on Facebook so you get notified when we have new videos out. And then we also have a PayPal now. Marco C, the letter C, and then U as in YOU, and then later at mail.com. That is my PayPal. If you want to send like $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 or $5, whatever, please go over there and send it. And then if you send us a donation, please feel free to leave a message and we'll read it on the show and add that to the show and make it even longer. And I bet Safi will love to hear from you guys and hear you say, get to work, Safi. Get off your lazy ass and do this Vincent Price week so we can move on and do some even better stuff. So anyways, that's it. Goodbye, everybody.